This week on Soundbites, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. I don't know. I'm Chris Harrington, and I'm joined this week by Holly Whitfield and producer Natalie Van Gundy. We're going to talk winter holiday foods. We had strong opinions on Thanksgiving eating do's and don'ts a few weeks ago. Will we again? Stay tuned. But first, you can find all of our food stories and this show in podcast form at dailymemphian.com, where you can also sign up for our weekly Table Talk newsletter. And you can catch Soundbites, perhaps you're doing so right now, Thursdays at 11 a.m. left of the dial at 91.7 FM WYXR, your crosstown radio. Or you can subscribe to the show or any of our other Daily Memphian shows in podcast form wherever you happen to get your audio. And if you're a Facebook user, we encourage you to join our Table Talk Facebook group there as well. What's up, guys?
Hello. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. It's December 12th, I guess, as we record. It's mid-December. It's coming up. It always sneaks up on me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I maligned Christmas a few weeks ago when we were in here when I declared Thanksgiving my favorite holiday. And it is true. But Christmas is cool too.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to having some time off. I don't know if Christmas is as strongly associated with food as Thanksgiving is, or maybe it's just me. Maybe it's my own sort of lack in this regard.
Well, Christmas has a lot of other things going for it, identity-wise and branding-wise.
Food gets pushed down the list a little bit.
And Thanksgiving is like, you either care about the food or you care about the pilgrims. That's it.
So what does anyone have, like, for Christmas dinner? Is there something that you feel is associated either generally or in your own lives? Is there something that has to be on the middle of the table, or is it really more about sweets?
For me, my list is all sweets with the exception of one thing, which is actually still kind of sweet. So all sweets for me.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of roast beef association with Christmas. Maybe that's because of the Grinch Stole Christmas, the whole roast beast thing.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, beef tenderloins are a pretty common Christmas thing. And then for Hanukkah, brisket's very common.
Right.
And so it's very beefy. I'm tending not to eat it.
We've done steaks.
Steaks?
Yeah.
I can see that.
We've done steaks or ham, but there's not like a consistent main dish.
We do not have a consistent main dish. And part of this is my own life as a child of divorce, is that in Christmas was just like, I'm just traveling and being pulled all over the place all the time. So I just never had consistent Christmas experiences, really. There was no like get around the dinner table in your nuclear family home. That was not really my thing. It was more of a travel holiday. For this year, my family, my Memphis family, is currently in the midst of negotiating our Christmas meal. We have not ironed it all out yet. But I think we're going to have two mains because my brother Micah is insistent on making a duck. He wants to cook duck.
Ooh,
and
sounds great.
I'm in favor of this. My wife is in favor of this. My kids are in favor of this. And my dad and stepmom were like, I don't know if we want to eat your duck. So I think they're going to make a beef tenderloin. So we're going to have both.
Why don't they want to eat his duck?
I don't know. But I'm pro duck.
Yeah.
I've never cooked duck myself, but I always order duck on menus.
Me too. Always.
Yeah.
Like if it's on there, I'm going to get it because you're just not on a lot of
How
menus.
else are you going to get it? Yeah.
How else am I going to get it? Yeah.
So that's sort of our situation. What are your food situations coming up?
Well, my in-laws every year, their family, they pick a theme for their Christmas lunch dinner. So I think one year it was Mexican food, another year it was Italian.
Right.
And I like that.
A Christmas lasagna. I think that works.
That sounds good.
It was very good. And it kind of just separates it entirely from Thanksgiving. It's not like Thanksgiving's copy,
Right.
And it's fun to know because other families that we go to kind of do a similar meal to Thanksgiving. So we know we're going to get something different there. And I look forward to it.
You got anything?
Well, over the last few years, so my family is just the four of us. Usually we celebrate Christmas. So that's my parents and me and my brother. We're all adults. So we've kind of evolved to having a lot of snacks throughout the day, making it super easy. Some fun ones that we have done. My mom makes like the ranch oyster crackers, like with just the seasoning on it. Like where you take the oyster crackers and you put like butter and like a ranch packet.
I feel like seasoned crackers and or seasoned nuts is an underrated Christmassy thing.
And they're just kind of there all day and you're just kind of snacking.
Totally.
A couple years ago, my mom just like for fun got really the easiest thing ever, just the Pillsbury cinnamon rolls. She gets them out and she like puts them in the shape of a tree, bakes. Like I'm talking, we're going so easy. I started doing charcuterie. That's how we were rolling in the Whitfield household, and it's nice because nobody has to like do a whole big thing. And like later on, somebody will bring out some like sliced ham for sandwiches. But at this point in our like adult Christmas lives, we're here to like chill and wear our PJs and eat carbs all day.
No,
I'm all for this.
I think grazing is sort of the right way to go. So we really only have one like food related Christmas tradition we've developed over the years with our kids. And that is that we do cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning. And when we started doing this, we got take and bake cinnamon rolls from Porcelino's.
Oh, yes.
Back in the day when that existed. And then at some point, our daughter became interested in baking, and we put her in charge of homemade cinnamon rolls. So she does homemade cinnamon rolls for Christmas morning. We do that with hot chocolate. And then after that, we're getting in the car and going to some family members. And then it's mostly out of our control. I do this year, I brought a cookbook in. I am in charge of dessert for Christmas dinner this year, which hasn't been the case for a long time. And I've decided what I'm doing. I've made it once before. I'm going to make it again. It is from John Currance's Pickles, Pigs, and Whiskey Cookbook. And I'm going to make bananas Foster bread pudding.
Oh, wow.
With brown sugar rum sauce and candied pecan soil. That's what I'm doing.
It sounds great. You've made it before.
Once before, yeah.
Once before. 2 questions.
Yeah.
Are you traveling for Christmas, whether it's just in Memphis or further? And 2, does that travel well with you?
We're traveling before Christmas, but then Christmas Day, the Memphis family Christmas is going to be at our house. It's going to be a last hurrah because we're going to be selling our house next year. And so we're doing Christmas at our house, which has not been normal. We've tended to go elsewhere. This may be the only time ever we've hosted Christmas dinner at our house. So
that's great. You have that beautiful renovated kitchen too.
That's right. So I'll be making this in my own kitchen, and it will not be traveling.
Good for you.
So that's our sort of Christmas thing going on. I have a couple of Christmas dishes I have discovered accidentally in recent weeks I want to recommend in Memphis. But speaking of bread pudding, you've got one too, is right?
Yes, I do. And then Natalie and I are kind of sharing this one, I'm going to say, because we both love it. But Chef Michael Patrick, who used to run Rizzo's and now is a chef at Capitol Grill, but he sells a blueberry white chocolate bread pudding. He had it in his restaurant. It's just...
I dream about it.
I'm not even a big bread pudding person, but this one I will go in for because it's delicious. He sells pans of them at Christmas now, kind of like a side hustle. So that's why we were thinking of it for Christmas. But if you haven't had it,
it's truly wonderful.
Yeah,
I can't say it enough.
So how does one acquire this?
I think you go to B. Michael Patrick's Facebook page and message him that you want to buy one. Like, I think it's like that. Yeah.
And he probably has a cutoff date. So if you're interested,
as soon
as you stop listening to this podcast, get on it. You won't have any regrets.
So speaking of that, similar situation, I stopped at the Blanchard's Patisserie Cart, which is the, we've written about it in the Daily Memphian. We've talked about it in this pod certainly before, but it's this guy Daniel Blanchard is a home baker basically. But he has this cart that's out Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the mornings in front of Joe's Wines. And you can find him other places around town too. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings, he's there. And I stopped there 2 weeks ago for the first time in too long. And he was making Bûche Noël, a.k.a. Yule logs. Here's a picture from his Instagram.
Delicious.
And it was fabulous.
Wow.
And I got to say, my wife hopefully is not listening to this podcast. She tries to make this sometimes, and she has many triumphs in the kitchen. Her Bûche Noël is like 10% of what Daniel Blanchard was knocking out in his kitchen, I got to say.
It just looks so hard to pull off, though.
So I don't know. I'm not going to guarantee he's going to have this every day. You can check him, follow him on Instagram. Most days he'll show you what he's got when he's out. But it seems like this is a seasonal thing. He's going to be doing a lot. He's selling it by the slice, but he told me, like, if you want a whole one, you can message him on Instagram and work that out. So that's a thing.
Are they thick slices?
They're pretty big slices, yeah.
Love
I mean, there's one person slices, but like, a handful or whatever. And the other thing, which was an accidental discovery, another place I go to occasionally, but I did not know what I was going to get into. I walked in the Hive last week, and I was going to bring one of these to share, but I stopped by. They're closed on Tuesdays. And I walked in the other day, and I'd never seen this in the store before, so I assume this is going to be a regular seasonal thing. It is what they're calling a gingerbread supreme. It's
That
just
I'm
almost
looking
like
at.
pinwheel, croissant-y, like dusted, sticky pastry thing.
Okay.
And it's got
Sold.
it's got a filling that's some kind of gingerbread cream filling that's different from the frosting that's on top with a gingerbread cookie.
There's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on, and it was fabulous. So these are two things I recommend to people.
Are y'all picky about your gingerbread?
I don't even know enough to answer that question.
I agree.
I just know that most people, and I'm straying a little off topic here, associate
This
gingerbread.
can segue us into the topic of just general Christmas foods, right?
Well, here we go then.
Yeah.
A gingerbread cookie is crisp. It snaps when you bend it, but I like a soft gingerbread, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a cookie. I like that flavor in muffins, breads.
I think to the degree I consume gingerbread, which is not much, I like the crisp. You know, the brand is it Anna's? Those little ginger thins.
Yeah, like
Yes.
the ginger snap. Like it's
Yes.
The real. I like those. I have never made gingerbread cookies or gingerbread anything. I've never certainly done a gingerbread house. I've never done any of that stuff.
Well, I prefer it soft, but I'll just kind of eat it anyway I get it, to be honest.
Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah.
Have either of you guys ever constructed a gingerbread house?
I've done it from like the kits, so it's not very culinary or artistic.
I don't have
that
the
experience.
patience to bake it myself.
Oh, no.
Although I admire people that do, kind of like the story we just published about
The Peabody.
Conrad. Yeah,
Yeah.
he did the governor's mansion with Peabody, and it looks gorgeous. Or
Yeah.
with gingerbread, not Peabody.
Yeah, the Peabody pastry chef and his team built a gingerbread version of the governor's mansion. We do have a story about that this week. It said that they started working on it in April, which is wild.
See, my thing with stuff like that is that it's a food thing that's going to be made and then thrown away.
It's weird.
You know,
Depends on your house and how many
Right.
toddlers you have living there.
Well, this is true. This is true. But yeah. So I don't know. The whole gingerbread thing has somewhat eluded me. Although this gingerbread, whatever, what's it called again? I don't even remember. I had it on my phone. They have some name for it. At Hive, the gingerbread supreme. It was quite supreme. I definitely would recommend that. Like what else? Like frosted sugar cookies. That's like an ultimate Christmas kind of thing, right?
You know the little shortbread cookies that are shaped like there's one shaped like a bell, and
I love those.
it's got red sprinkles on some of it. Those I don't even know what they are, but that taste, I can taste it, and it's so nostalgic. I would like that this year. I would like to find those cookies. They're just like supermarket cookies.
They're
or
at
whatever.
Kroger,
Right.
and they
Yeah.
do a shortbread and a sugar cookie version, but they look the same. One box is red, one box is green. I know way too much
So
about
good.
this.
Yeah. That's what I think of. And I was going to tell my Triscuit story, which is just coming from like making charcuterie and like cheese and crackers and stuff, snacky stuff on Christmas. Did y'all know that Triscuit stands for electricity biscuit? That's what it stands for. Like
Why
that's what the
the
What's
name
the
is.
origin?
Yeah.
The origin is that these crackers were made allegedly in like the early 1900s using electricity from Niagara Falls. That's like where the cracker manufacturer
Like how they
was. Well, they make electricity out of the water flow, and I guess
Somehow, yeah.
somehow, yes.
Hydroelectric.
Yeah, thank you. Magic happens
Right.
and science happens, and then they were like electricity biscuits, Triscuits.
They're all made right there.
Yeah, and they confirmed this a couple years ago. Somebody on Twitter was like, where does the name of this come from? Is it about like 3 kinds of wheat? And they're like, no, the try comes from electricity.
I like a Triscuit. I think the texture is good. I like the texture. I like the salty, the crisp. I think if I knew that story, and even better yet, if they were called electricity biscuits on the box,
Yeah.
I would have consumed so many more Triscuits in my life.
There's like an
They're really
old-fashioned...
missing the boat here.
Yeah, there's like an old-fashioned like advertisement for them, and maybe I'll link to it in our story about this podcast because it's delightful, and it does make you want to eat them.
Now I'll never call them anything else.
I know, it's so fun to say.
Have you guys ever made like the spiced fried saltine things?
No, but I've eaten plenty of them. and
yeah.
I love them so much.
What are they even called generically? Like firecrackers or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah,
So that's something I never made, and I wrote about this on Table Talk a few weeks ago. So sort of piggybacking on the food related present stuff we'd written about. But There's this brand called Tennessee Hot Crackers that I've discovered both at Buster's Butcher and the same brand I've discovered at the Mad Grocer at Crosstown. And they're both white cheddar flavor and garlic parmesan, but they're pretty spicy.
Yum.
I've been buying those like every time I see them, basically.
You're not tempted to try to make it yourself?
I am, but I haven't had time to be in the kitchen a lot lately.
Yeah, may not be as good anyway. Just go ahead and buy it. It's easier.
It's always easier to buy when it comes to things that are fried. It's sort of easier to let someone else do it. You know.
Yeah.
So what else? Classic Christmas foods. I find that foods most associated with Christmas feel like very old timey and like more something out of a Charles Dickens book than something you would find in your kitchen.
Yeah, like what is figgy pudding?
What is figgy pudding?
What is it?
What is a sugar plum?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Let's never find out. Let it be a mystery.
What happens to a chestnut when you roast it on an open fire? I may never find out. It sounds dangerous. It sounds like, feeding a gremlin after midnight or something.
A little bit, yeah.
Because Gremlins is also a Christmas movie, right?
100%. I've had arguments about that, but now the whole world agrees.
Good.
Chris Vernon thought I was crazy a decade ago when I was talking about Christmas movies. I had Gremlins on my list.
That's funny.
At the top of my Christmas food list, and I can't remember if I asked Holly about it. I know I just asked Chris about it, but it's divinity. Did y'all ever eat that?
Yes.
Or do y'all eat that?
It's a word that I can hear my mother's voice talking about it and me thinking, what is this thing she's talking about?
Well, some people describe it as a cookie. Most people describe it as candy, but it's basically like almost like a meringue cookie, right? And some people will put, I think, a pecan in it. It's delicious.
Eggnog, fruitcakes. Do we have opinions?
Pass.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't do either of those things. I don't know. I don't really know of people who do those things.
My dad likes an eggnog, like a non-alcoholic, whatever. I just remember every year he's like, oh, it's so good. And he'll like pour a glass and then I'll come back later and like the whole carton is gone. So he likes it. But
my dad will do like boiled custard at Christmas.
Can you explain that to me?
Nope.
Oh,
I wish I could.
Another Christmas food mystery.
It looks a lot like eggnog. And I don't know if he's buying it or making it, but I'm not interested. He did have me put it in my coffee when they were out of creamer one time. And I thought, okay. But I'm not going to do it again. Sorry,
right.
Dad.
I was looking up. You mentioned boiled custard. It made me think of something. I wrote about this at some point in the past year. This was something I'd never heard of, and it's available. I assume it's still available at the Taco Antrax truck on Summer. That food truck that's in front of like a convenience store thing.
Yes,
and it's chaparrado, which is it's a chocolate, sort of like a boiled custard in a way, but it's a masa based thing, and it's basically like a really thick Mexican hot chocolate. Which I don't know. When I had it, it was not like Dead of Winter, and I think Dead of Winter like that sounds pretty good, maybe.
But was it still good when you had it?
It was, but it was not. I felt like I need to come back. At a different time of year.
Yeah.
But to me, that's sort of a boiled custard sort of equivalent that I thought was pretty good. That's something you can get in Memphis at that truck. Sort of this thick Mexican, sort of masa-based boiled chocolate drink.
Sounds delicious.
It does. Another Memphis-based item that you can get around the holidays is from Muddy's. I'll let Holly talk about it, actually.
Well, they bring out all their seasonal peppermint treats at Muddy's. They've got, I think they call it like a Santa baby cupcake, which is like the chocolate devil's food, but with like the pink peppermint icing. It's so festive looking.
Love the peppermint.
And delicious. And it's got sugar cookies. She's got gingerbread going on, but it's really about the peppermint and the chocolate combo.
Yes. And the pie she does.
I don't know. Have you had the pie? I haven't had the pie.
It's been a while, but I love it. Does she call it peppermint patty?
Peppermint patty. Okay, I'm looking. Yes, she does. She calls it peppermint patty. It's a chocolate pie. So it's looking like it's giving the same thing as the cupcake, but
yeah, in pie form. Which I welcome.
Peppermint and chocolate may be the classic Christmas flavor combination. I've never been a big peppermint guy. Like, how do we feel about like what's the word I'm looking for? The peppermint sticks, the candy canes.
They're fine.
I
I love peppermint everything
Okay.
year round. I've got a little box of Altoids that I'm constantly eating on my desk. I love all things peppermint, especially around Christmas. And specifically, I love peppermint bark. I don't bother making it because Costco can make it way better than I can for only $9.99.
I've gotten off of the combination of crunchy, sticky things because I feel like my teeth are going to fall out. But
Fair.
I don't know if there's anything more delicious that can be purchased in the city of Memphis than Dinstall's Cashew Crunch, which I think
That's
is
very
in this vein.
Yeah.
And available year round, but I think that's a particular. I mean, any kind of chocolate maker, it's particularly probably Christmas is a high, big season for them, whether that's Dinstall's or Philip Ashley or whoever else. But that Cashew Crunch, like I would take that over the chocolate.
I wouldn't, but I would welcome both.
Right.
Both are very good.
Porque no los dos. Yep.
Although in the South, I think pecan is more like your signature nut for things. We were talking before the show. Our late friend Jennifer Biggs used to host the show. She would always make, she called them pralines. Natalie and I call them pralines.
We do.
She would make a big batch of pecan pralines every year around Christmas.
They were so good. And she always said that pecans were the king of nuts.
The king of nuts.
Pecans are great.
Do you like a raw pecan, though?
I do. Where I grew up.
To me, there's a texture
we would
thing.
have that.
I like when you get a little bit of crunch going on.
It's definitely better when you do anything to it, but like I said, we would pick them up off the ground and eat them. So I'm here for it.
my mother, where she lives, they have pecan trees. They live out in the country. They have pecan trees, and she'll just bring me big freezer bags full of them. And her husband sits in the recliner and watches TV and cracks nuts and
Oh, you get them already cracked?
Yes,
that's nice.
Already
I do enjoy the cracking of it myself, though.
The cracking itself is what's the word I'm looking for. It's satisfying.
Tedious.
But that's the follow up. That's the problem. Actually, pulling the little thing and cracking the nut, it's like doing the what's the word? The bubble wrap. It's almost that kind of thing. But then you got to sort of dig them out, and I was never good at that.
Yeah, because they've got stuff in there that you don't want.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to get a fully formed pecan half that's pristine. I just was not. Delicate procedure is not for me. My hands are too big and clumsy.
Well, I think it's great that you get them pre-cracked. Or no, post-cracked.
Post-cracked.
Cracked already.
The problem is that I'm probably going to get a bag, but I'm going to get them too late to do the spice nuts this year.
You can only do them.
Well, to do them for Christmas.
Oh, for other people.
I can have spice nuts in January.
You could, do them in January and bring them here. For us.
So you were looking at lists of Christmas stuff before the show, Natalie. Is there anything we haven't talked about that has popped up on your list?
Just some traditional Christmas, more like desserts, like fudge, peanut butter balls, pretty standard items like that. But then I did see homemade Chex Mix on the list. And then do y'all ever eat Muddy Buddies around the holidays? Do you know what I'm talking about?
What is a Muddy Buddy?
It
sounds like something I would want. I would like.
It is something you would like.
I'm a known champion of the Nutty Buddy. What's a Muddy Buddy?
It's help me out, Holly. The Chex squares, but they're I don't know if they're cooked or tossed in chocolate, peanut butter, powdered sugar.
Okay.
That type of thing. It's also called other names than just Muddy Buddy.
This sounds like the stuff my dad used to make that was cornflakes and peanut butter and I don't know, Karo syrup or whatever.
It's
love
something
that.
like that.
Yeah.
My mom makes those.
People call it puppy chow.
Puppy chow, yes.
Puppy chow, that's cute.
Did I make up Muddy Buddy or do people call it that?
I call it Muddy Buddy. And the internet that I'm looking at right now also calls it Muddy Buddy.
So here's a question I have. And this is where I confess that in some ways I'm very Southern, in some ways I'm not. And this I feel like in the realm of food, I'm very Southern, but somehow I missed this one a little bit. The sausage ball. Is that a specifically Southern thing? The sausage and cheddar cheese baked.
I know what it is, but I eat it all the time. It's not just Christmas for me.
I don't know if
but
that's
it is specifically Southern, right? No?
It seems like it.
I have never made those.
All the
no one in my
staples.
family has ever made those. And I feel like we were bad Southerners for not making. I've had them at other places, other people's houses. But my parents on either side never did that. My grandparents never did it.
No, same. That's not a part of our repertoire, but
oh man, I feel so sorry for y'all.
I know, right? This is why I feel like I'm really I feel like
we're
I'm
suffering.
Really missed out.
You are.
Yeah.
I mean, we have for every occasion my family makes sausage balls. It's your birthday, sausage balls. 4th of July sausage balls.
Okay.
What
so
is
not a seasonal thing, but I feel like it should be. I feel like this fits into the
I see how
Holly's
it could
thesis
be.
about Christmas being for grazing.
Yes.
I feel like that fits into the just a house full of just snacky mostly sweet
It would
kind of
fit.
stuff.
Maybe we'll try to
a little
do that
savory
this
with
year.
the sweet with the sausage ball.
Send me your recipe, Natalie. And I'll see it
I will.
happen on our family grazing.
I should note as we near the end of the show, we focus mostly on Christmas foods. We are three, if not Christian, and culturally from that kind of background, probably. We have not talked about Hanukkah foods, which is something I don't know a lot about. I do like a good latke.
Who doesn't?
Really?
Yeah.
Delicious.
We also have a recipe for that on our website as well that we published for Hanukkah. So from a local person.
Yum.
I would love to be corrected about this if we do. I feel like we don't have a good Jewish bakery in town. When I was in Montreal this summer, a friend of mine who'd been there before told me you got to go to this particular Russian Jewish bakery in Montreal, and it was unbelievable. I feel like that's something we don't really have. But it may be that I just don't know about it. I think there's a good chance of that.
Yeah, if someone knows if we have that, let us know.
Oh, wow.
What'd you find?
Ricky's Cookie Corner that we've talked about multiple times on this podcast, but I know that they have like challah bread and they have like all that stuff. But I just went to their website and it says we are sold out for the year.
I believe
like,
it.
They're just done.
Well, she does a lot of orders for every Friday for the various organizations and groups across the city. So if everybody's adding to those orders, I can see how she's already sold out.
Yeah.
It smells amazing in there.
All right. Well, I think we're about out of time. We've discussed our various holiday food inclinations, what we're going to have, what we would like to have, some things you can get around town. If you know of anything else, we'd love to hear about it, obviously. Thanks for listening.